AmityCast. My name is Ellis,
My name's Matthew.
and we're having a very hype discussion today. Talking about a very iconic film franchise that is being talked about a lot right now because of some specific events. Big in the horror genre. Talking about the Scream franchise, right, Matthew?
I mean, yeah. There's also like another one that.
Yeah, we could also talk about Halloween.
Um, yes, shoddy.
Don't say that. Anyway, there are 11 films in the Halloween franchise that have been officially released as of now. Halloween Kills, the 12th installment, releases this upcoming Friday. It's in just a couple days. Very excited for it. I'm a big fan of the Michael Myers character of the franchise. Yeah, so what are your thoughts overall on the franchise? Matthew, you a fan? What's up with that?
Really peaked at part 6, producer's cut, and it really went downhill around like the original.
Okay, let's have more genuine thoughts. How about?
Well, I love the franchise. It's very messy though. I love the original, like 100%. If I have a top 10 list of just like my favorite movies in general, it'll definitely be on it. I really enjoyed some of the early sequels. Like when I first watched them, I don't really love like a particular amount of them now. None of the sequels I really like topped the original, and the most close to that was the 2018 film. But yeah, the thing is, like, this franchise has finally hit like a high point, and it took 40 years to do so. So I guess that's saying a lot.
That's true.
Yeah.
The original Halloween, the 1978, is one of my favorite movies ever made. It's in my top 5, I would say. I adore it. I've loved it ever since I was really young, and I first saw it. I think it's one of the best horror movies ever. One of the reasons why John Carpenter is my favorite director. I think it's fantastic. It's pretty much a perfect horror movie, as I've heard some people call it, and I would probably call it that myself. It's definitely one of the most influential as well, for a lot of reasons that we'll probably get into later. But there's also 10 other films, and honestly, the only other one that I think is even like good in the entire franchise is the 2018 requel, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely pretty solid. And I'm also a really big fan of Halloween 3, which is like a really weird one, and we can probably talk about that a bit because that is like a weird movie to discuss. But I think, and the original Halloween 2 is not bad, but then the rest of them are pretty bad in my opinion, and some of them are like really bad, like the lowest of low of horror in this franchise. So yeah, it's fun stuff.
Yeah. The only ones I haven't watched the whole way through are the Rob Zombie ones. Just because I was advised not to watch them, not because they're like terrible in like every way, but I guess because they're gory. When I was younger, but I also just have not gotten around to it because I really am not looking forward to that. But I will eventually. But
You got a dodge a bullet there, honestly, because yeah,
yeah, they're so dumb, and I do know some things and that happen in those movies, and I'm not excited. But yeah, the 2018 film was very well done. Easily probably the best like continuation of the original work. Um,
yeah, that's one of the weird things about this franchise. One of the things that it's known for is like how many different timelines there are that all stem from the original.
Yeah, I like in the Dead Meat interview with Jamie Lee Curtis, like he brings up that he's like played Laurie like 5 or 6 times, and then he was like, not to mention these are like all different timelines, and then she was like, just shut up, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny because like it's true because Jamie Lee Curtis has always been Laurie Strode. She's always owned the character, always delivered pretty much. I mean, for the most part, unless she like doesn't have much of a role in Resurrection. But when it comes down to it,
Trick or treat,
there's
motherfucker.
there's the original continuation, which is just Halloween 1, 2, and 4, 5, 6, and then there was the like I don't know, I guess just the H2O timeline. I don't know what else you would call that. And then that's just Halloween 2, and then H2O and Resurrection, and then then it just goes Halloween and then Halloween in 2018 as like another just direct sequel that cuts out all of the other ones. And then I guess Halloween 3 is its own thing, and the Rob Zombie films are also their own thing. So it is kind of complicated. If you're a fan, it's probably easy to like keep it like coherent in your own brain. But
they've like used every single like sequel title and trope that like after the 2018 film they just added Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, and that's the title. Those are the titles.
Yeah, I kind of like the title, but like the fact that like the 4 film arc is gonna be Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends.
It's like a little stupid. I mean, I like when I first announced the titles, I was like, I don't know, those are kind of. I mean, I'm happy they're just not calling like Halloween 2 and 3 because then I'd be really annoyed. But like, these are kind of like basic titles that don't really like make sense when you just kind of say it as like 2 words. But like they have like grown on me a lot. But definitely beats Halloween H2O, which basically means Halloween water. 20 years later.
Yeah, which is so stupid. And then Halloween Resurrection, like, what a stupid title. Like, just so generic. Like, come on. I mean, and then also looking at like the original like 5-6 movies, how it's like Halloween and Halloween 2. Then when they returned to the Michael Myers like through line, it was like Halloween 4, the return of Michael Myers, Halloween 5, the revenge of Michael Myers, and then Halloween, the curse of Michael Myers. Like 4 and 5 being the return and the revenge. Like what? It seems so pointless to me. Also, Halloween 5 is pointless altogether. So
Halloween 5 is terrible. I mean, I guess I could say the first 4 films. Like, I mean, the original's a classic. I used to really enjoy the second one. I still do. I just don't love it as much because it feels like John Carpenter was drunk while he wrote the script, which, funny enough, is exactly what happened. And then Halloween 3 is like a weird experimental film, and I knew when I walked into the film that it was not Michael Myers, and I was like able to enjoy it because like I knew it was its own thing, which is like key to enjoying that film. Because I feel like if you just throw this movie at somebody and like they watch it the whole way through and no Michael Myers show up, they're just gonna hate it no matter what. And I feel like that's a big disrespect to that movie, and that's purely on the dumb title and how they thought that it wouldn't make any money with the plot that it had and like relating it to Michael Myers. Like I don't know what they were thinking. And then Halloween 4, which isn't like amazing and it's incredibly overhyped. Like I enjoyed it when I first saw it, but like the more recent viewings I've had of it, just the whole time I'm just like, this is like a cheap direct to like home video Halloween sequel with some good ideas. There's some good ideas, but like a lot of terrible things, and it completely undoes the first 2 movies, and it's just dumb.
yeah, Halloween 4 isn't very good. It's never been very impressive to me. I noticed that it like had quite a bit of a fandom for a while, and like
it still does for some reason.
Yeah, I've never really understood that.
Even Halloween 5 and 6. Halloween 6 definitely has had one more recently because they released like that producer's cut, which I guess is better. But like it's like polishing. It's like polishing a turd. It's still a bad. Yeah. Like I will admit it has like one of the better like Michael Myers performances and like one of the better masks like in the series, like hands down. But like that doesn't like excuse like the backstory and like Paul Rudd and like everything about it.
Just the terrible film surrounding it. Yeah, it's really weird because like Halloween 2 is like generally well liked as well, like just like as like a horror movie. And like I don't think like the original Halloween 2 from 1981. I don't think it's like very good. Like it's very mediocre at best. But like it is like a solid like slasher for the most part. But it kind of like messes everything up. Yikes. Because the original plan was to just do like different anthology movies of stories that all took place on Halloween night. The first one was about Michael Myers. The next one was supposed to be like that Season of the Witch one. But then basically, due to like completely popular demand and like they knew they could make money off of it, they had John Carpenter do Halloween 2, and like he didn't really want to, and he wrote the script when he was drunk. Everybody knows, like most people know that, and like he still scored it really well because it's John Carpenter. But like Halloween 2 is fine, but I really like would have liked to see what they could have done with like that like anthology idea with like different stories and like see like where they could have taken that, because that could have been pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, because it was like officially known that if they would have done like a 4th one that was like an anthology format, it would have been like a ghost movie, like a supernatural movie, which I'm still like interested in like what even the plot was, because I'm assuming they had a plot, because they were gonna do like a yearly thing, and but yeah, they called it Halloween 3, which was really dumb. They should just call it like Halloween Season of the Witch or just Season of the Witch. Putting a 3 on it, like, it establishes that it's a continuation, and that's dumb because it's not. Because then, like, it's just people are gonna walk in and be like, oh, this is a third Halloween film, and then you walk in and it's clearly not. There's a lot of weird scenes in that movie too. It's a fucking bonkers movie, and like it's fun in that respect, but there's also some really weird things, like the robots filled with like orange juice, and then like this like 50-year-old man having sex with like a 25-year-old woman just randomly one night.
Yeah, I always remember the scene when he's like, man, like, do you ever get tired of her? It's like, man, if you weren't like double her age, maybe you'd be able to keep up with it.
Yeah, and then like she just has like sexy clothes with her, and they have sex, and she's like looking for a lost dad, and I'm like, what is the plot here?
Yeah, Halloween 3's plot is insane, and
like
a lot of the events that happen are just.
I definitely agree that it's underrated, but it like gets like a lot of praise now, and like it's not that amazing. I don't really watch it. I don't really watch it a lot. It has. I love the mass. I love like the plot. I love the villain too. But like the story is just so weird, and like it doesn't really make sense. It's just kind of like you have to go with it, and like that's really weird because the first two films, which are like, sure, Michael Myers is kind of a weird character because they never firmly say like what about him makes him like such a threat, and like how does he like always come back like seemingly from the dead, but like it was always fairly realistic, and it always had like a realistic tone, and then this one was like a lot more like 80s camp and kind of silly.
Yeah, they had a big emphasis of that in Halloween 3, and it is very unique, and I think that's a big reason as to why I like it so much, because like I don't think it's like a great movie by any means, but like I thoroughly enjoy it. And I think it's just because of like that camp to it, and like it is crazy. It's a wild ride. It is like mostly self-aware. Like it's not trying to be anything too serious, and like it's pretty fun to watch. It's a really enjoyable Halloween movie. It definitely gets me in like the Halloween spirit for sure. Even with all the weird stuff going on with it. Overall, I really enjoy Halloween 3.
Yeah. I remember.
It's really weird. I look at like you can find like different like rankings of like the franchise by like different like assortment of fans. And like it's like some of them will have Halloween 3 up higher because they enjoy it, and some of them have them a lot lower because they're like strictly into like the Michael Myers stuff. And you also look at like first of Michael Myers, and some of them will have them like higher, like up around like up around toward the top because they're a fan of it. And for other people, they have it like as like the bottom as like one of the worst ones because like it is like regarded as like one of the worst, but like it's really weird.
Well, I think that's one of the things that makes this franchise really unique. I mean, it's annoying that there's so many different timelines and like so many things to keep up with, and if you introduce anybody to this series, it's going to be a lot of like, okay, so like those films you watched, forget those ones, we're going back to the original, and like they do that a few times, and like and it's just really annoying to deal with.
Yeah.
But yeah. Alright, 1 second. Allie's calling me. I'm just gonna tell her.
Yeah, Trinity keeps calling me. I don't know what's up with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're telling me to check Snap. I mean, this is a little... Oh.
What happened?
They got Pokemon cards. I think she got Dark Sylveon.
Oh yeah, that we bought that earlier.
Oh, so Trinity gave it to her then.
Yeah, that must be what that is.
Are you on? Your audio's a little muffled. Are you like on the app?
I'm just on Discord right now. Does it sound okay?
Here, maybe move your phone a little closer if you can.
Okay, I did.
Oh, okay. Wait 1 second. Gosh. Okay, wait, now talk.
How about now?
Okay, I'm gonna call you back real quick.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello?
Okay, I guess it's a little better. It'll probably fix itself in a second. Okay, what were we talking about? I was...
I don't remember. What were we?
I really broke my thought because she was calling me like 3 times. I was talking about... Well, I was going to ask you, what was your first experience to this movie? Like, how'd you come about it?
Which movie?
Just Halloween in general.
I mean, overall, I guess, like, I could just say, like, the original Halloween, like, why I like it so much is, it's it's a well-shot movie. It looks really good, throughout, and it still has, like, a lot of, like, that late 70s, like, horror charm. It's genuinely very scary. Laurie Strode gives a great performance, and, like, Michael Myers as a character is portrayed very well throughout that movie. Obviously, it's very well scored. I just think it's a masterpiece of horror. It truly is. It's absolutely incredible, and it really it's not like the first slasher. Like, it's predated by a few other like slasher films, but it's one of the most. It's probably the most important slasher film of the genre, which is both good and bad because like a lot of slasher movies are pretty terrible, at least throughout like the 80s and 90s. But like what Halloween did, like as far as like influence and just like everything, really like just well, it had such a huge like positive impact on the horror genre and on like films in general. And I think like it's just such a good, super important movie, like ever.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's one thing about it. It's definitely probably the biggest and most influential slasher movie um, that's like ever been, and it kind of like it brought about a lot of this because like as many people don't know, but very much they should know. Jason Voorhees is a complete ripoff of Michael Myers as a character. The director himself has said that, and a lot of other like actually good horror movies have been inspired by this movie, like Scream, or I don't know what else off the top of my head. I mean, I guess A Nightmare on Elm Street, but that's like a lot. That's a lot different. But seeing Halloween be successful definitely probably inspired that a little bit, and a lot of ripoffs and like films that are like inspired by Halloween exist and still exist. And the fact that the franchise is still even running now is, it shows that it's still popular, and it can still like have new ideas brought to it.
Right. But, yeah. It's it's very good, and I think that they definitely showed the potential of continuation with the 2018 like sequel. All the other sequels I didn't think really showed like any potential for like future story and kind of made it. No, I mean, I don't like hate Halloween 2, the original. It's not that bad, and like obviously Halloween 3 is its own thing, but it's like the Michael Myers story. It had potential, but it definitely worked out, but like as just that film. Um, but it was such a big deal, and at the time, like making a sequel, I mean, with as successful it probably was going to be because of the success of Halloween. I mean, it's just like that's just kind of how it would like naturally go. And yeah, like we've said, the original Halloween is it's such a classic. It's incredible. And then Halloween 2, like I mean, like compared to the original, obviously it's not that good. But like setting like standards that high, like it's a solid horror sequel, at least a solid slasher sequel.
Like the best part about that movie is like it's really cool that it was set like on the same night, because that was like pretty much a universally like unheard of thing to do, to like recreate a film and like have like that ending just kind of like go into the next one, because even at the time sequels weren't even that big of a thing,
Right.
it was very cool to see that like basically like the same night like continuing on, and it's basically like one big story. And like they're obviously doing that with the 2018 film and Halloween Kills, which I'm pretty excited to see how they're gonna do that. But it was that was like the coolest part about it, and some of the kills are more gorier, which was cool. Like I like the syringe in the eye, and I like the hot tub like jacuzzi death, even though it's really weird. Like I don't know why they would just be in a jacuzzi. It was a weird scene. Um, those characters were weird. The characters in Halloween 2 are very weird. Because not even to mention, Laurie's like passed out the whole movie, and it's like I get it. She's like at the hospital, but like she's like marketed on this movie as the main character. And you know, if Donald Pleasance wasn't like the main character in Halloween 2, the movie would just sucked. Not to mention Donald Pleasance, who is easily Loomis is definitely my favorite character outside of Michael in like all these movies. Um, it's such a shame.
Yeah.
It's such a shame that he was really only able to be in the bad ones, the bad sequels, because like 4, 5, and 6, he's pretty much like the main reason I would go back and watch any of those movies, is just to see his performance, because he has such a great dynamic with Michael. It's kind of like you can't really have one without the other. You always need some sort of Loomis character to kind of like draw the audience in and like stay engaged. And in the newer films, they kind of made Laurie Strode that character. Like it works for me, but it's just like nothing's gonna replace Loomis. He's such a great character, and I feel like any way that they can like involve him in any of these movies is a great. It's a great idea, and I haven't seen the remake, so I don't know exactly how well that performance is. I know it's a lot worse, but like it's its own thing, so I don't think I would judge it for that. But Donald Pleasance is easily one of the best parts about the first 6 movies. Every single scene with him, he gives his all, and even in Halloween 6, where he was literally like he was like physically dying on set. Like if you watch that movie, he just looks so tired, and the fact that he was still in the movie, the fact that he died before they did reshoots. So the ending is just so dumb because it's just like so ambiguous about what happens, and it's just like this is a terrible ending for the character. And then like they made H2O like a few years later, and it's like okay, this isn't like amazing, but like this would have been much better for like a Loomis send off than wherever Halloween 6 was trying to be.
Absolutely. Donald Pleasance is an integral part of the early Halloween franchise.
It does make no sense though how he lives in the 4th one. It makes no sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Loomis definitely shouldn't have been around, but I'm happy he did because he was like the only positive that I have about 5 and 6. But it's still really stupid. But Donald Pleasance, his performance, he was always so committed to the role. He was so committed to the character. And he always gave his all. Well, like you said, like pretty much even up until his death, because that was his last like true role. Like he like literally was like dying as they were making that movie, like which is kind of hardcore. But from the first film onward, like he was just such an incredible character, and Dr. Loomis was. And that's all thanks to Donald Pleasance. I mean, his performance, it felt very real, and it really just capitalized everything. Like the dynamic with Michael, like you said, just the way he interacts with every character, it always felt like how like the character was set up to be. It definitely like felt natural all the way through.
Especially in those first 2 movies, man, he had some like easily the most quotable lines from that movie that
Yeah.
just became the absolute focus of the franchise. And they found ways to incorporate him somewhat. Like when they had his voiceover in H2O, like it was weird, but like it was kind of cool. And then they of course rebooted the character, which didn't really go over well. And then they also had his voiceover in 2018, which was much better. I did like that addition. It didn't like they didn't need it, but like it was cool that they still referenced him enough. And then if the rumors that I'm hearing are true in H Kills, we might get some sort of Donald Pleasance appearance, which I don't know how they're going to do that or if it's going to be good. I hope so, but you can definitely feel his absence in a lot of these movies because he really just, not just him as an actor, but like the character itself, just really, it made that first film work, and it just made the sequels like a lot more enjoyable. And yeah, he also just seemed like a wonderful guy. I wish he was still around, but of course if he was, he'd be like over 100. But yeah.
That's true. Yeah, Donald Pleasance just always seemed like such a great person.
But easily, if
And
even if he was still alive somehow today, and he was like in his like over 100, I feel like if they approached him to being like, "Hey, do you want to have like a small cameo role in like Halloween Kills?" I'm sure he would have said yes. I'm sure he would have been in any. I'm sure he would have been in like Resurrection if he was still alive. But yeah, he's just such devoted to this franchise. It was amazing.
yeah, it's incredible to see how devoted and committed he truly was. He really elevated a lot of those movies. Because I mean, you look at like we've already talked about the first three quite a bit, but like Halloween 4 is definitely like not that good. I understand like a lot of people do enjoy it, but Halloween 5
It has enjoyable qualities
is
for sure, but
yeah.
it's not
There
good.
there are two like, but it's not a complete failure. I guess is what I'm
I
trying to say
think
about that.
I,
Halloween 5
it's
is awful.
terrible. It's absolutely terrible because it was rushed a year after for some reason. Like if there was already like a 10-year gap basically in between the first two and like the fourth one, and like it still made money. So I didn't get the logic where like, oh, we have to make one now so we make money again. And it's like, but like if you take a little bit of time, there'll be hype, and like you make something actually good. And like Halloween 4 had such a weird ending because it's like, well, what are you gonna follow up with this? It seems like more of like an ending where it's just like, oh, the cycle repeats over and over again. So it kind of felt like more of a definitive ending than even Halloween 2 in some aspects because there was no way you could have followed that, and like every fan would have been like, okay, this is a cool place to take the narrative, and then where they took it was just as absolute ass, and then Halloween 6 I guess was like the cap to the trilogy, and it's like this wasn't planned out as a trilogy. Halloween 5 set up stuff with no answers like ever thought of. There was like, oh, we'll figure it out we'll figure out when they're filming the next one what the answers are, and it's just like, no, no, no.
And then it ends up like spiraling pretty much because
Spiral.
Halloween 5 was awful. I mean, uh, honestly, a terrible visual direction. None of the characters like made any sense really, and I didn't enjoy any of them. None of the
Yeah.
performances were
Also,
convincing except
in
Pleasance.
in the beginning of Halloween 5, like I didn't love the characters in Halloween 4, but like the one like decent character they had, they out of the two decent characters they had at the end of Halloween 4 that were like new, they killed one of them off in like the first 20 minutes, and then the main character like Jamie Lloyd, who was great in the two films she was in. She definitely gave it her all as a young child actor, but they just made her mute the whole movie, and it's like, okay, why? And then they just introduced a bunch of dumb teen characters for like the next hour and 20 minutes. There's like an extended 15-minute barn scene where they're just playing with like kittens and like having sex, and then like they keep like having these Michael fake outs, and it's like, oh my god, I just want to get out of this barn. I just want to get out of this barn. I know I'm not in the barn, but I feel like I'm in the barn, and it's just, oh my god.
I didn't see any like actually good creative decisions going into Halloween 5. When I watch it, throughout the entire thing,
I can't even. Somehow they made the mask worse in that movie, and I don't know how. They also just mess up the mask in like every single sequel, somehow. Except I mean the Halloween 2 mask looks fine because it's the original, but like it's like a little bit old, and like I guess it was like sitting in cigarette smoke for like multiple years, which is never a good thing. And then
I,
of course the Halloween 3 masks are great, but they're not Michael Myers masks. And then like Halloween 4 and 5, the masks sucked. People like the Halloween 4 one. I don't know why. And Halloween
I'm
six,
not a fan of it personally.
the Halloween 6 one, I guess, is better. It is better, but like I don't like it either. And the H2O masks, oh my god, that was so dumb. They used like 5 different masks, and like one of them was like a CGI mask, and I was like, what? And then Halloween Resurrection mask is like better, I guess, but like it looks like Michael Myers has makeup on the whole movie. And then like I guess the remake mask was like it was the best mask since the first one, but like it's still I didn't like it. I don't like the look of it that much. And then obviously the new one in 2018 is like the best mask we've gotten in 40 years, which is another thing. They somehow mess up Michael Myers in like every single one of these movies in some way. Not to mention all the way up until Halloween 2018, they have the dumb plot where he's just trying to kill his relatives. Um, that just really doesn't work for the character, like how he was originally presented, and it just kind of became a staple of the character. They just kind of like hunts his relatives until they die, which to the point that in Resurrection he kills like his last relative, and presumably, and like literally he just goes home and then there's just kids there, so he just kills the kids that are there. That's the whole plot. He has no purpose, and yeah, 2018 like redeemed it, his motive for me. but it still took 40 years for them to get it right somehow, and it's a mess of a bunch of different creative decisions, a bunch of studio decisions, and once John Carpenter actually came back with competent filmmakers that like had like an idea of where they wanted their story to go, that eventually became a trilogy, then it actually became good, which really makes me question what the studio thinks they're doing, because like obviously if they keep bringing on filmmakers that don't know what they're doing and they're just going to be like, oh, we'll just answer this in the next movie, it's just why. This is going to be bad for you in the long run. But yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree. Because when you look at it and like you look at films like Halloween 5 and The Curse of Michael Myers, they pretty much are complete failures. I mean, I guess the producer's cut of Curse is a little bit better, but like it's still awful. Like those are two awful movies. They're in like the bottom three along with Resurrection. But like just looking at those movies, and like just how much of like a failure they were, and then like you look at like after that they like so like just shortly after Curse of Michael Myers is when they had H2O. It was not very long, and then H2O was like fine, I guess. It's not like great, but it's fine. But then like H2O gets a sequel that is awful, and is my least favorite of the franchise. I think it's absolutely terrible. It's one of the worst films I've ever seen. And then just so many other issues with all of that. And then they let Rob Zombie, a guy who never liked the original Halloween, be the one to take the reins and redo it. And like with like the Rob Zombie Halloween and Halloween 2, it's like, so if you're a fan of Rob Zombie's like style, I guess it'd probably be fine. But like I can't think of many people who actually like enjoy Rob Zombie's like style, like genuinely like from a film standpoint, because like Rob Zombie, like I'm not a big fan of what he does most of the time. He makes really weird like stylistic decisions that don't always like pay off the way that he thinks they do.
Well, yeah, I've seen some reviewers like actually adore Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, which is weird. But it's so weird because even when they gave Rob Zombie they gave him like creative control, they for some reason the studio decided to pick this really bold choice, but then they decided to restrict him. So it's like, well, why'd you even choose him? Because originally I think he was just going to make a movie about Michael Myers' origins, but then they said no, we need it also to just be a copy and paste remake of the original. So like it's like a weird movie where like half of it's like an origin story, then half of it's just a bad remake. And then like he didn't want to do a Halloween 2, but then like they convinced him to, and then they're like, okay, now you can just do whatever you want, and then you just made a terrible movie. And then after that, they were going to make a third one, and he didn't want to do it. So like, oh, we'll just do Rob Zombie's Halloween 3 without Rob Zombie, and then we'll make it in 3D. And it's like, thank God that never happened.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about what that would have been like, because that would have just been extremely upsetting on many levels. Like the Rob Zombie Halloweens, I mean, yeah, they have their fans, but like, I pretty much strongly dislike them. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, I think, is a complete failure.
From what I've seen,
anything with
the best things were, like the interpretation of like how they had Michael like kill in those movies was like very brutal, and some fans like that. And like I think the guy that performed him was like good from what I've seen, but there's just a lot of weird decisions. Like the most of Halloween 2, he's unmasked and he talks, and then in the first Halloween, they for some reason in the first Rob Zombie remake they have like a rape scene. Like literally they just have like a literal rape scene, and it's like, why? And like also Danny Trejo's in it, and they just killed Danny Trejo for some reason, and it's like, why would you do that?
Yeah, it's just so many weird decisions. Like, that seems to plague a lot of the Halloween movies, just weird decisions that don't make that much sense, and they don't actually work out. Not in a horror movie context, a Halloween context, or any of that. And overall, it just becomes, it's just kind of upsetting to think that there's so many movies in this franchise that just completely fail on so many different levels.
And the fact that we almost got, there was actually a script, like there was legitimately a script for Pinhead versus Michael Myers in like the early 2000s.
Yeah, kind of like in response to Freddy versus Jason, they were going to do like a Pinhead from the Hellraiser franchise against Michael from Halloween.
And then we got a Chucky and Michael Myers ad. that's a thing now, which is cool, I guess. But it's also like I've never longed to see Chucky talk to Michael Myers and Michael Myers say nothing in response because he doesn't say anything. So what's the point of having a crossover with a blank slate of a character?
Yeah, I guess it's like a fine like promotional thing for like the movie and like the series that are coming out around the same time, but like it just really serves no purpose.
I would much rather see Halloween and like Scream have kind of like a crossover ad because like Halloween directly inspired Scream, and like they both are having kind of like new films coming out now. Like Scream's copying Halloween 2018 and just having the same title from the original, which I feel like that's intentionally to like mess with it. But we'll talk about that later. But
yeah, that's just like a Scream thing to do in that franchise. But I agree with that because I think like those crossing over would make a lot more sense because the Chucky TV series just seems so weird to me.
Apparently it's good. I saw after we talked about how like we couldn't watch it because it was like for some reason one of the last shows that was like airing live on TV. I guess Sci-Fi, like Rick and Morty, just posted the first episode on YouTube, and it's just like you can watch all 50 minutes.
Yeah, that's cool. But like, just so then I don't see that like, it just seems so weird because so many shows have like gone away from like actually airing regularly and having episodes that air on like cable channels and stuff like that. So many of them are streaming now. Like that's just a huge portion of what people watch.
Yeah, and then speaking,
it's kind of refreshing to see the Chucky series take that route, but at the same time, it's like I just don't. I don't like why.
I'm not gonna go out of my way to see it, but the thing about kind of like I hate the producers of this franchise. Like I know like the main guy was Mustafa Akkad, which passed away after Resurrection because of like a terrorist attack, which is like very sad. And I'm sure the guy was nice, but like he just kept pushing this franchise to have new movies. When at a certain point, you just kind of like you should just kind of like let it rest for a while, but like just constantly, because like even after like Curse of Michael Myers just absolutely sucked. There's like, okay, we'll just make Halloween direct to DVD now. And like if it wasn't for Jamie Lee Curtis being like, hey, I want to do a new movie, we would have probably just had a slew of direct to DVD sequels that would have just been terrible. And even now, his like son is now like the main producer, and like now, like last I heard, he was even like talking about like expanding the franchise and like having a TV show. And it's like you can't have a Michael Myers TV show work because it doesn't work in that format. It barely works in a franchise. So I don't know how you would work it in like a multi-episode seasons like, TV show.
No, if that would ever work, at least not in my opinion.
If they maybe did the anthology format and that could work, but then at that point, why is it Halloween? Like, why is it like part of the Halloween franchise? It could just be like a random horror themed anthology series, and it probably would do better. And
yeah,
there's talks because I know because like Blumhouse is kind of the main people making Halloween now, and they just make sequels after sequels. Like they have Paranormal Activity 7 coming out this month, so clearly they want to milk Halloween if they can. And I know after Ends, they're interested in potentially like doing more like Halloween movies if there's a story to tell, and of course they're given the rights to. But he even brought up potentially doing a Season of the Witch sequel, or like bringing back that anthology style. And it's like I think that'd be a cool idea, but like I feel like that ship has sailed so long ago that like there'd be no point to having like an anthology film that's just like a random horror story set on Halloween, but just have the Halloween like banner on it. It would just kind of be like a bunch of false marketing, and just to like any average person to be like, oh, this is stupid, this is not what I come to see. And
yeah, I don't see how that could ever work connected to the franchise anymore. Like you said, that ship has sailed, and it sailed like 40 years ago. Like there's no way, because basically as soon as it was decided that they were just going to make a Michael Myers sequel with Halloween 2, ever since then, that whole anthology thing, as much as I love Halloween 3, is pretty much over at that point. Because you ruin any chance of marketability for the third film, that you actually want to do that method. And if then, like, are you ever going to make sequels to those stories, or is it going to be completely anthology? Like, it just messed it all up.
Like, absolutely, if they, like, announced that, like, they're going to have Tom Atkins come back and, like, a Halloween 3 sequel, I'd be excited. I'd at least be interested. But
I would love Halloween 3 2 season of the witches.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. Like, how would you market that, and how would you sell that? And also, what would you even have a story about? Because like, not only is like Tom Atkins like 80, and it's like this like the ending of that movie is very intentionally like not setting up a sequel. It's like an ending where it's like, oh, you'll never know what happens because like the ending of that movie is like some end of the world territory shit, and then
Yeah, it's really crazy. I actually really enjoy that.
I did too, but then like the previous scene was like him wrestling with like a headless, like armless robot for like 5 minutes, and I was like, what am I watching? And then
Such a batshit crazy movie, dude.
they also like the main villain is dead, and like the actor that plays him is dead, so it's like I don't even know what the story would be. I don't know how you would market it. I don't know how you would sell it. Especially after a trilogy of films that really brought back Michael Myers really well. I don't know how you would. That would be just like a step down, no matter the quality. And if you just bring back the anthology format again, it's just gonna be like, well, why do you have to have it Halloween branded? Because you just attach a well-known director, make his own Halloween like Halloween type movie, where it's just a horror movie, and you could probably make more money because you could market that better than having like the Halloween name in front of it.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, there's just no way they could ever make that and not have it be connected to the Halloween franchise anymore. Because now it's completely and utterly the Michael Myers franchise. That's just what it is. I mean, that's just kind of how all the horror franchises are. Friday the 13th is so represented by the primary villain, like Jason, and then like the Nightmare franchise is so synonymous with Freddy Krueger. That's just what the Halloween franchise is now. So that's just, but with Michael Myers. So.
Yeah, and I just honestly, this franchise, I mean, we know John Carpenter never really wanted it to be a franchise. He made he made that original film as like a one and done thing, and of course, sequels would have been made no matter how much he wanted it to happen or not. And I feel like as long as he was involved, because he was heavily involved with parts 2 and 3, and while those movies aren't like amazing, they're definitely fun, like spooky movies for the season. And
they're at least solid and they're at least watchable for sure, especially in like the Halloween season, like you're saying.
After Halloween 3, he was basically done. I know he was like involved early on with Halloween 4, just like seeing what ideas would come around. But then he kind of just saw that like this movie wouldn't go. And he just realized it wasn't good, and he just kind of gave away the rights. And then they made 4, 5, and 6, which were terrible. And then when H2O came around, originally he was going to be involved, but I think he just stepped down for whatever reason. And then, of course, with the remakes, he was upset because Rob Zombie openly blasted his movie and said it wasn't good. And he's like, okay, now I'm going to remake it, but better. And he's like, do you realize who I am? And then, of course, with these new ones, you had filmmakers come to him and be like openly honest that, they just want to respect his original work as much as they can, and they want him to at least, see over their script so it fits his story as much as possible. And then, once he's actually like somewhat actively involved again, now the franchise is doing well. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like if you don't have John Carpenter, Halloween's always going to kind of go down in some quality. He's super necessary. It's kind of similar to how I would say Wes Craven is with Nightmare franchise, because if you don't have him around, you get movies like Freddy vs. Jason and the remake, and Freddy's Dead, and it's like terrible.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's just how it. That's pretty much every John Carpenter property, especially from his early years in the late '70s into the '80s. Like they worked so well. At least the good ones work so well because it's John Carpenter, and like he puts his spin on it, and the way he shoots movies, the way he scores them, it's pretty distinct to him, and he was very influential in the horror genre. It's a big reason why he's my favorite director of all time.
Yeah, and like you said, I remember what you said at one point that you told one of our teachers about was just like his big thing when he made movies is that it's his thing, so he wants to be as involved with it as he can. And like he was like he'll write the script, he'll produce it, he'll direct it, he'll score it. He'll edit it. He's like as involved as he can be because it's his project, and that's like a really admirable thing as a filmmaker, because like taking on one job is a lot, but like basically like spearheading the whole project is like so much.
deal. I mean, making a movie is very difficult. That's something that I don't think as many people like actually like really realize. Like they may realize it's tough to make a movie and it takes a lot of like work, but like to actually like fathom how much actually goes into making a film and all the little things and the amount of time and energy and just everything that goes into it. And when you see movies that where it's like written, produced, and directed by this person, like Stanley Kubrick was like that a lot, John Carpenter's like that a lot. Like the amount of work that they have to put into that movie, it's truly primarily their creation, and they can't do it without the help of all the other people as well. But like, how much work actually goes into all of that? It's
Hails.
it's crazy, and like they leave their impression on it. So anything that gets created beyond that, like sequels or remakes or anything, it's never gonna feel the same at all, and it's never gonna feel like a proper follow up if that original person is not involved because like they left their print
Hails.
on any movie.
I'm gonna go get my laundry real quick, so you can just keep talking. I'll be like gone for a few minutes.
Okay. But yeah, that's just a big thing. Like Stanley Kubrick's like that a lot. You notice on like a lot of Kubrick movies. If you like check the credits, it'll say that he wrote, he produced, he directed like The Shining, A Clockwork Orange, 2001: A Space Odyssey, pretty much all of his movies. Because he was very precise. He was very he needed everything to be very intricately created. He wanted everything to be just perfect, and he would take as much time as he could to like craft his films. And some of his movies are some of the greatest ever made. Like The Shining is one of the greatest horror movies ever. I think it's definitely in the top 5, no matter how you slice it. 2001: A Space Odyssey is one of the greatest, most influential films in the history of cinema. And he leaves his mark on his movies very clearly. You can tell when a film is a Kubrick film if you're a film fan. And John Carpenter is that same way. I don't think overall in the entire world of film, John Carpenter isn't like as like influential as Kubrick. I don't. But in the horror genre, Carpenter may be the greatest director of all time, like from an objective standpoint. Which I'm not sure about that. I'm biased, so I could be wrong there, but. I mean, and the original Halloween is a great staple to that because that's the epitome of John Carpenter, in my opinion. Just what he was able to create with that film, even on a low budget, it's a testament to how great independent films can really be, how great slasher films can truly be. I don't think it's the greatest horror movie ever, but it's definitely in the top 5 because it's influential and it's great in so many ways. It's definitely a 10 out of 10 for me. Halloween 2 is like a 4 out of 10. It's definitely on the weaker side of like films, but like it still has things to enjoy, and it's definitely watchable. And then you look at Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, which is just a crazy movie. It's completely separate, but it's super enjoyable. Like I've said, I absolutely adore it. It's one of my all-time favorites, really. But it's like another like 4 out of 10. You know, not like actually great. And then Halloween 4 is like a 3 out of 10 if I'm being really generous, because like it really has a lot of issues. It's poorly written, has terrible character development. The score is noticeably worse from the other Halloween movies because John Carpenter wasn't doing it. And it has a lot of fundamental issues. Plus the overall like plot is just boring. I don't enjoy it. And Michael Myers as a character just isn't as intriguing, and the mask isn't as good as Matthew was saying earlier. Halloween 5 is 1 out of 10. It's abysmal. It's terrible. It is genuinely one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen. It's the second worst of the franchise, in my opinion. Everything is bad in it. Terrible writing, terrible characters, terrible acting. All the performances are awful except for Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis. It drags. There are terrible studio decisions, terrible writing decisions. Everything about Halloween 5 is terrible. And then The Curse of Michael Myers is an embarrassment as well. I think it completely fails because it tries to be like super crazy and wacky, but overall it just ends up being more of like just a hodgepodge of all these different things that don't make any sense. And Paul Rudd is in that movie, which is like really weird to think about Paul Rudd being in a Halloween film, especially with the prior knowledge of the ones before Curse of Michael Myers. With and his performance is like pretty flat too. Like I mean, it's like his second film ever, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. I wouldn't expect anything great, but it is part of the movie, so I'm still gonna judge it as so. Um, oh yeah, Curse of Michael Myers is terrible. The producer's cut, which came out a little bit later, um, it is a little better. There's a few better decisions, has a stronger ending, I think. It kind of elevates the overall narrative, but it's still really bad. It's still overall pretty embarrassing and pretty frustrating. Uh, Curse of Michael Myers is like a 1 out of 10. And then we get like the reboot Halloween H2O, which is like fine, but it's definitely not like good by any means. Jamie Lee Curtis is back and she does a pretty good job as Laurie Strode. The Laurie Strode character is very important, completely integral to the Halloween franchise. I'm excited to see going forward with Halloween Kills and Ends because Michael Myers and Laurie Strode have such a compatible story arc, and their character development together is just, it's so important. Their arcs need to end together, in my opinion, so wherever it goes with that, I'm excited to see. But H2O is like a 3 out of 10. Again, being generous. And Halloween Resurrection is a 1 out of 10. And every time I talk about Halloween Resurrection, I go off on a little rant. Because of how angry it makes me, honestly. Because it is seriously terrible. Halloween Resurrection is one of the worst. It might be my least favorite horror movie ever. It's up there with like Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday, and Wrong Turn 6, Last Resort. Like those are like the trifecta of like terrible horror movies for me. Halloween Resurrection, it makes no sense. It completely fails in story and overall plot. All of the characters that are introduced or are returning from H2O are terrible, or they're Laurie Strode, who gets killed off early in the movie, which just completely that kills it off there, because with Laurie dead, there's just no more movie, especially with what was established in Halloween H2O. It's a big reason of why 4, 5, and 6 fail as well, because Laurie Strode is such an important character. Just watching Resurrection and all the stupid things that happen and all the things that they were trying to do, like they try to use like these scenes with like special like camera techniques to like make it more like like video, because that was like at a time where like the internet was becoming more popular. But it just completely fails. It's visually terrible. It drags. It's pandering. It's not self-aware at all. It has Busta Rhymes in it. Like, Halloween Resurrection is absolutely abysmal. I can't go lower than a 1 out of 10. If I could, I would. But 1 out of 10 is where that stands, because it is so bad. Oh, man.
Are you talking about Resurrection?
Talks about the zombie ones. Hey, are you back?
Yeah, you're talking about Resurrection.
Yeah, talking about how much I despise Halloween Resurrection. I just went through like the original through Resurrection, kind of just giving a rating on each one. The Rob Zombie ones, I was gonna say the first Rob Zombie's Halloween is like if I'm being generous, a 3 out of 10, and Halloween 2 is a definite 1 out of 10. It's absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Which I know you haven't seen those all the way through, so.
Well, to go back to when I first was like introduced to these, I don't remember why I saw the original. I think my mom just recommended it, so we rented it from like a video store, which was like really cool, because it was like old fashioned, just renting a movie, because they had the first 3 in the remakes, so it was like, oh, okay. So that's how I saw the first 3. It was through a rental store, and then I got that box set that you've seen I had, and then I just kind of like went through all of them, except the Rob Zombie ones, and then while I enjoyed watching all of them, there was only like a few that I could genuinely like say I like were good, and of course Resurrection's god awful. I hate the first 10 minutes of that movie so much, and then the rest of the movie's also terrible, and then the last like final act is somehow worse than the first 2 acts, and I just want to kill myself.
Yeah, everything about Resurrection is terrible. I don't recommend it to anyone. I recommend that you never watch that movie, because it's that bad.
I guess if you're like a completionist and you want to suffer, you can watch it, but no, skip it. Doesn't even matter anymore. And then I guess it'd be funny if they have like Busta Rhymes in Halloween Ends as like just a regular person, and then just Michael Myers absolutely fucking murders the absolute shit out of him. Then I would probably say Resurrection had a reason for existing.
Yeah.
But even then, like even Jamie Lee Curtis, that like was for some reason she was like on all the posters and like advertised as being in this movie. She dies in the first like 15 minutes because she thought H2O was going to be the end, but they were like, oh, we can't kill Michael Myers actually. And then she was like, so I signed on this movie specifically so you could kill him. And then you tell me you're going to kill him. And then once you filmed the thing, you tell me, no, not actually. So she was like contractually obligated to be in Resurrection. She was like, okay, just kill me. I don't want to be in this. Which is a bad sign for your movie. If your main person, like actor behind this whole franchise is like, I don't want to be in this, maybe you should step back and think, is this a good idea? But no, they filmed it, they edited it, they released it, they publicly showed it to the public, and like I don't know how this movie happened.
Yeah, I have to agree. I was saying, I don't know if you heard me say it, but yeah, Halloween Resurrection is a 1 out of 10 because I can't go any lower, and it is genuinely, it is in like my 3 like least favorite horror movies ever made. I despise that film. I absolutely loathe it in so many ways. Some of that may be personal bias, but it is genuinely awful. Like, it is so terrible. Like, Halloween 5 is absolutely terrible, and Curse of Michael Myers is also a complete failure, but Resurrection takes the cake if you're trying to find the worst Halloween movie. Like, a movie that just will make you angry if you actually care about the art of film. Like, it is that bad.
It also just, it isn't good at all. I recently, a deleted scene from that movie was recommended to me, which I don't know why, but it was terrible. It was like from the beginning of the film when Michael gets to his house, and I guess for some reason they shot a scene where they had Michael Myers get out of his car and walk up to his entrance to his house, but before he walks in, guess what he does? He remembers to lock his car doors.
Okay.
That's the whole scene. They filmed that, and then that they deleted, but they kept in all the Busta Rhymes scenes.
So they filmed that and they decided that was fine to like get rid of, but they were like, no, we gotta keep Busta Rhymes.
Exactly. Like, what? They even brought back the director of Halloween 2, which was weird because, like, at the time, like, you look at the first 8 films, it's like, okay, Halloween 2 is easily the best sequel, but the same guy comes back and he makes the worst sequel, and it's like, how? And then you realize that Halloween 2 was massively, like went through reshoots that were mostly directed by Carpenter, so it's basically Halloween 2 is a Carpenter movie. That's just not, it's just Carpenter drunk, and it's just, I hate it.
It's terrible.
There was no passion behind that movie. I don't know why they felt the need to make that after H2O. It's like, if anything, then remake the original, because by the time H2O is, you can at least say the original story's done. And like, it has like a solid conclusion enough. Like, while I don't love H2O, I do admit the ending, like the final act is like really good. And how they kill Michael was pretty cool. It of course doesn't go with how I view the character based on the original, but just seeing finally somebody actually just decapitate the motherfucker was kind of cool. But that was easily the weirdest Michael Myers performance in that movie. You could see his eyes very clearly the whole time, and he like walked weird. His mask like had weird hair. It looked like he had like an afro, and I was like, I don't get how these films were made, and like they didn't like look and think, this isn't like good enough. We need to like at least make him look better than this. But no, they put a CGI mask over him for just one scene. It's not even like in the movie at all, besides one scene in like one shot, and it takes you completely out of the movie because it's so bad and it's terrible. It's just like, if you don't get the mask right, you can kind of tell what type of Halloween movie it's going to be, because like Halloween's amazing, Halloween 2 is like, it's decent, and then like 4 is like barely passable, and then like 5 and 6 are pretty bad. I mean, I guess 6 is fine, but like it's pretty bad. And then like 7's like terrible, and like 8's terrible, and like the remakes are terrible. And then like 18 like has a good mask, and it's like, okay, this movie's fine. And it's really dumb.
I have to agree with all those points. And honestly, the only other thing that I think that we can go in depth on is the fact that 2018, the Halloween 2018, I really enjoyed it, and I think it was a strong like actual continuation to the original Halloween that fans have been wanting for a long time. I think it was very solid. It's about a 7 out of 10 for me. That is a bit generous, and I am biased as a Michael Myers fan, but that's how it is. I really enjoyed it. And with everything that was set up in that film, that I think they did well, I'm really excited to see continue going into Halloween Kills.
Yeah, yeah, I'm very excited. I mean, of course, I have a few problems with the 2018 film, and I feel like a lot of those problems will still be in this one because it's very muchly connected. But I think this movie's going to be, because you know how I view the character Michael Myers is, um, you know, he's like a character in the dark. He's the shape. He doesn't really have any personality or motive, and it's not really the kills that make him scary. It's like the fact that he could be anywhere, that he could be anyone, and that he's unstoppable. Basically, he's pure evil. Is like the scariest part about his character, and like how a lot of later sequels just kind of made him a slasher. They kind of just killed people and gave him a bunch of motivation. Really brought down the character and just the storyline. Um, but you know, I've always wanted to just see like a Michael Myers that I actually like just fucking go ape shit for like in 2 hours, like a 2 hour movie, just go ape shit, go balls to the wall for like 2 hours. That isn't Rob Zombie, and I feel like this movie's gonna be exactly that. And I feel like it's gonna be good in contrast because the 2018 film wasn't that much like that, and I feel like Ends won't be that much like that. This is like the big this is like the big high point of this trilogy where like everything just goes ape shit, and I think it's gonna be really well done. I think it's gonna have a lot of good kills, and I think it's gonna have some good character moments, and that's pretty much all I want from this because I know it's a middle chapter, and I just want it to be solid for what it's trying to do, and so far it hasn't given me any reason to doubt it. So I'm very muchly excited for that. Also, because they probably heard some of the criticisms from the 2018 one, and I hope they correct some of the criticisms that were actually kind of a problem in that movie. But I have a lot of trust in this movie. I don't really know if I want Halloween as a franchise to go on after this arc ends. I know it probably will, and I'll be interested in whatever they announce, as long as it isn't like a Halloween Resurrection sequel or like Halloween Rob Zombie 3D or like something terrible. But yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah. Hopefully not. I don't want to. I don't really want to see continuation after Ends. I think as long as Kills and Ends goes the way that I expected, and it can just wrap up, that's all I would. That's all I would want, and I would be satisfied. Honestly, even with all these other movies that have come out and that have been so disappointing. But I do agree with your point about how you just want to see a movie where this Michael Myers character that we've grown attached to over the course of our lives, and like people that have been fans for a long time, just actually go crazy like a true slasher villain, in like a way that has actually been well constructed and it's been approved by Carpenter himself. That's what I'm excited about because
Yeah,
2018.
the fact that like Carpenter, I remember before it got delayed because of COVID, he said like he watched the movie or whatever, and he was like, "This is probably like the most slasher movie you'll ever see." And the fact that he said that, that like bodes very well for I think how I'm gonna enjoy this movie.
Yes, it's incredibly exciting. And the 2018 Halloween, it's not like a slow burn, but it is a lot slower of a burn, kind of similar to the 1978 one, because like the original Halloween, it's not supposed to be like it's not supposed to be like a gory, like crazy slasher movie. It's actually a genuinely scary, a well crafted, just tense building movie about like what is could be real and is genuinely scary. And a big
Yeah,
part of that
because
concept was
if
on Halloween night, but
yeah, I don't know if you heard some of the backstory, but I remember part of even the motivation and like inspiration for Michael Myers was because of Carpenter's college. Like he like did a college visit to like a mental ward, and like he saw some of the kids there, and I think it just like shook him so much to like see that like pure evil can just be in like, you know, even just like a small 6-year-old child, and that kind of spiraled from there until like he made a Halloween, and that's like a very interesting story. And the fact that like later on in like the 80s and 90s, he's just kind of Michael Myers was kind of synonymous with like Jason and like just other slashers at the time. That like sure, I don't hate Jason Voorhees. I think he's one of the horror icons, no matter what. Even though he is a ripoff, he brought a lot to the genre, if it was good or bad, and he'll always have some good qualities because he's had so much appearances. But Michael Myers is infinitely more interesting and more engaging, and I would rather really watch any Halloween movie to any of the Friday the 13th movies besides like maybe one, and that's Jason Lives. I mean, I'd watch if somebody said, "Hey, watch one like the Halloween sequels that you don't like, or watch Jason Lives," I'd watch Jason Lives. But like in any other situation, I'd probably watch a Halloween movie. But that's just me.
I gotta say, I enjoy Jason Lives more than probably like 5 of the Halloween movies, 7 of the Halloween movies, probably. I mean,
But any of the other ones?
no, I once you get to like the bad Friday the 13th movies, they're on like the same level as like Resurrection and Halloween 5, because the Friday the 13th franchise is so bad. Maybe we'll cover that one day, but it is yikes.
We'll have Tommy on for that one.
Probably
But
not.
I don't know if it'll be on one ever again, but we'll see. But I guess to wrap this up, because it has been over an hour, I mean, I guess we can talk more if we want, but I don't know, do you want to talk more about Halloween, or are you going to move on to something else?
I mean, I'd say probably just try to wrap it up with maybe a little bit something else soon, because we are going to be discussing the new film next week, so.
Yeah, for sure. I'm traveling all the way to Iowa to see it with this guy over here who's on the phone right now. But don't tell my girlfriend.
I cannot wait.
Don't tell my girlfriend that. Don't tell my girlfriend that. But
make sure she doesn't know. I cannot wait to sit next to this guy in the theater to watch Halloween Kills. I could not be more excited.
And then you have next year, which is like another one. And
Yep.
not to mention, like, no matter how this trilogy goes, these like 4 films, they're gonna have the best scores of like any horror movie like ever, and I'm gonna love them just to hear the soundtrack every time.
Score is just amazing. 2018 score was fantastic, and we've already the taste that we've gotten of the Halloween Kills score has also been phenomenal, and I cannot wait to hear like the full soundtrack because
Yeah.
I love Carpenter. I am obsessed with Carpenter. I can't lie. I truly am. I just love Carpenter.
I have his autograph, which is.
I know. I am very
Yeah.
aware of this fact.
I remember when I first told you, you were like, "No, you're lying." And then like I took a picture, of it, and you were like, "I'm gonna murder you." I think you said you were gonna break into my house and steal it.
Yeah, which it wouldn't have been as valuable because it wasn't an autograph for me. Like it was for you.
Yeah, it has my name on it. Like Carpenter wrote to me and then signed it, and I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, like Carpenter like admitted I existed like for a brief moment.
Yeah, that's the main reason that, like, I want, like, just sometimes I'm up late at night and I'm just like, man, I wish I was Matthew just for that one event mainly. I just wish I was Matthew. Like,
Yeah.
John Carpenter is like my all-time idol, I would say.
I mean,
when
you
it
can
comes to
meet
my
him one
old
day.
idols-
He's still a very active person. He's like in a lot of Comic Cons and like conventions, and like of course he's involved with these movies. So you never know.
Yeah, if I could ever like what you did, like you wrote him a letter, or if I could like meet him, whatever, if that could ever happen, I would be super happy. Because he up there with like Larry Bird, he's like my primary idol, like in this world out of like all time people. So
He's a very great guy, very genuine. Yeah, but
and an impeccable filmmaker. Obviously, not every movie he's ever made has been good. He's got some subpar movies, but like his best work is the best of horror in my opinion. It's fantastic.
yeah, definitely. He doesn't really miss. He doesn't really do. I don't think he really directs anymore, which is a shame. But he is up there in age. I'm just glad he's at least scoring these movies, and like, because like as like I told you before we started recording, like they're finished the Halloween end script, but like they're not even starting production until they get Carpenter's notes on the script, which is like that's really good news because like they did that with the other 2 ones, of course, but it's really good to hear that like these new filmmakers are like saying like no, we need Carpenter's approval before we even start filming.
Right, because they recognize that this is his franchise. Like in essence, it is.
In essence, yes, entirely.
Entirely.
I mean, I'm sure it would have been the same with like Scream, the new one coming out, if Wes Craven was still alive, but unfortunately not.
Right.
We'll see how that goes. But in final essence here, Halloween Kills, it looks to be fantastic. I know even if I don't love the film, I'm just gonna love seeing it in the theaters and like seeing like an actual competent Halloween movie. Because I never thought we would ever get like Carpenter improved Halloween movies ever again. Because I know
It's a very
I
Have you
know
seen that? That is a
before I know before Halloween 2018 was a thing, there was going to be Halloween Returns, which was going to be like in 2016. And like I followed that movie's like production a little bit because I was interested in if it was even going to get made. Like it got very far, like it almost started filming, but then like it got canceled or whatever because like the rights went back to Carpenter or something, and then we got Halloween 18. And yeah, I'm kind of glad that movie never happened because it would have been another. Let's wash away everything except the first two, and we'll just do it again, but without any of the characters you like.
Yeah, and like with all of its flaws, it doesn't have a lot, but with its flaws, Halloween 2018 was still super satisfying from a Halloween fan, a huge fan of the original. And looking at what Halloween Kills is projected to be just from the trailers and what I can expect in Halloween Ends, this arc looks like it's going to be so satisfying, and I think I'm going to be very pleased with it.
Yeah, I think each of these individual films in the trilogy is going to have its problems, but I think since these filmmakers have constructed it all, and I think they've known what they wanted the story to be ever since they finished like they saw the success of Halloween 2018 and knew that they could continue the story. I think they always knew what they wanted, and that's kind of the most important thing if you're gonna like have a multi-film arc is to like know where you want it to at least like end. And it's not like they're gonna milk it out for a bunch of movies. They're like, okay, we'll do a trilogy, and there you go. And yeah, I'm very excited because I feel like it'll be like just long enough that you want more, but it's gonna be very satisfying, and I'm very interested. And each of these new trilogy movies have kind of explored some like world events a little bit because I know the filmmakers had said the 2018 had like some allegories to like the Me Too movement and like assault, like men assaulting women and like trauma from that, and like you can see that, but like clearly it's not like the focus. And then like this one is going to be about like rioting and like trauma in like a town setting, and that's kind of like especially with like after the pandemic and all these like riots and stuff, it's a little bit more close to home than I think they expected. But and I saw like a recent post. I don't know how true it is, but I guess Halloween Ends is gonna have some subtext of the pandemic and like something else. It's gonna have some subtext from some current world issue. Um, and I guess that's kind of interesting that they're having that in these movies. I don't really see it that much, but I guess it's nice to know that at least they're trying to make something more than just Michael Myers attacks the town again. But yeah, I guess yeah, we're both very excited. We're gonna see it Friday. We're gonna see opening night. It's gonna be great. I hope it's a packed theater because I saw Halloween 2018 in a packed theater and it was great. And
I really hope that it is. I really hope it is a packed theater.
It's gonna be nice.
Opening night.
It's gonna nice.
I'm hoping for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice to be seeing it with you, who's actually a passionate fan. That isn't like my parents that like they enjoy these films, but they just kind of it's just another horror movie, and I'm gonna see it with some friends, and we're gonna see it with our girlfriends too, and that will also be a nice experience.
I'm really excited for it, just like as a group, just to be able to go see a movie that I'm super excited for, in a franchise that I'm excited to see finally that's finally going through the way that I want it to, and I think it's going to be an amazing experience. And I've got a few more thoughts, but I think that it's all going to be related to Halloween Kills, and we'll have a full discussion on that next week. So I'm going to hold off on that and let him cook a little more, and then that way we can have a great discussion next week.
Yeah, we for sure will, because we'll also have a few days to process it all, and it's gonna be amazing to sit in the theater and finally see this movie because it's been like 2 years now that like we've been waiting, and it's gonna be such like a release of emotions to kind of finally see it, and like just like know that like it actually came out, and yeah, I definitely recommend seeing this in theaters because it's also streaming like same day, which is I'm not a big fan, but I would definitely see this in the theaters because from what it's sounding like, it's definitely something that like needs to be seen like in a theater.
Yes, for sure.
This is gonna be, from what it sounds like, the ultimate slasher film, which I think would be great because I think Michael Myers should definitely hold that. Apparently, this film might even make Michael Myers like to get the most kills out of like all the big three slashers. Like he's gonna beat Jason in this movie, which will be great because then I can like flex that on Tommy. But
Yeah, that'd be awesome to be able to do, especially with Tommy. And like also, that's actually crazy to me that I feel like he'd have to get a lot of kills because the Friday the 13th franchise is prolific for something like
from
that. So
from what I've heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but I guess there's at least like over 30 kills in this movie, which is like holy shit. But we'll see.
I am so stoked for Dead Meat's kill count in a few months. That's gonna be amazing.
But yeah, that's gonna be fun as well. But yeah, this is an exciting time to be a fan. It's gonna be, I think it's gonna do pretty well. Because thank God Venom didn't come out the same weekend. Yeah, Venom sucked. This movie's gonna actually be good, I think.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I don't see how this movie's gonna fail. But if you want, we can talk about the Scream trailer for a little bit if you want, and then we can probably end the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer for Scream 2022, not Scream 5, which, you know, it's just kind of a Scream thing to do to have, like, at least, like, make the title kind of a joke and with, like, because the whole point of Scream is that it's meta. But the trailer did look promising, for the most part. It looks like, it's gonna hold very true to the rest of the franchise. I mean, not all the Scream movies are very good, but like at least they always like feel like a Scream movie, and they're very true to the characters, and they're very committed with that. And this trailer looks like they're setting up something that is going to be different, but still actually holds true to that, which could actually be really refreshing and good. I mean, I'm excited.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Scream movies. I've actually seen Scary Movie before I saw Scream, which is pretty dumb of me. But I did watch the trailer, and like I know about Scream and kind of like what the general plot is throughout the four movies, and this does look pretty good. It looks promising. The only concern is, the trailer kind of seems like it's the same movie again because like they bring back these three main characters like every movie, and it's just at a certain point, it's just like one of these people are gonna die. It's just more people just copying this killer over and over again, and it's just kind of. I hope it's like fresh and like new. And it seems like this one, at least in the trailer, it seems like it's not being as meta and it's gonna be a bit more serious, like tone wise. Because they have Ghostface. He seems a little bit more threatening in this one, and like they use a bit more modern technology, which is always nice. To not just be the same old thing. But I'm definitely interested in this and what they'll really do with it. It's gotten a lot of attention, a lot more attention than I thought it would. I didn't know there was as many people excited for a new Scream movie. But yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I think because like with Scream, it is technically a franchise, but there's really only 4 movies, and like this is like another one that it's been a while since the last one. So I can definitely see why there's hype. It's a little weird that it's releasing in January. I mean, we've talked about that before, but like, I mean, I guess I kind of get it, so it doesn't have to like compete with Michael Myers and stuff. But you know.
I mean, they could have released it, like, I don't know, the summer.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, the story looks promising. The cast seems pretty good so far. Apparently the director... Yeah. Apparently the directors have said, though, this trailer is very misleading because, like, they shot a lot of stuff that's, like, not even going to be in the movie just so the ending does not leak at all.
I mean, I guess I can kind of respect that because a big point of Scream is to have, like, the big twist at the end. But, like, I mean, I guess that's a little weird to just shoot extra footage just for a trailer. I mean, yep.
Yeah. It's pretty exciting, though, because this week we got the Chucky TV show. Premiered. We got Halloween Kills, and then Scream 5 has like its first look. It's kind of cool to see these guys kind of come back and actually be a bit more prominent than they have been in a while.
Yeah, I hope it can be a true resurgence to actual like big horror movies because it hasn't been as big for a long time. Horror movies in general are usually like the least gross, usually the lowest grossing. They're usually not as popular as like action films or other blockbusters. So it's exciting to see a lot of hype build for a lot of horror properties.
Yeah, like if we got like a new Freddy movie announced, that'd be amazing. Especially if it's actually like would be good. Even Jason, like it would just be cool to see these slashers come back, and like if I saw like an actually like pretty competent new Nightmare or Friday the 13th movie, it would be really cool to see.
Yeah, I guess we didn't talk about how like the legal battle with Friday the 13th had some big updates to it.
Yeah,
So
apparently it's
maybe
over. Apparently,
so like maybe sometime in the near future we could hear about the developments for a Friday film, but who knows? Because that's been in
it's
that's been a few
very
years
weird
now.
though because they haven't tried to make any new Freddy movies, and it's like the same company still has the rights, and it's just like they're just not making one. It's
Yeah,
very weird. Because I'd love to see Robert Englund play that role one more time, but it's just each year, it's just like you're losing your shot more and more.
yeah, I would love to see like actual new like Friday the 13th movie, like because like mainly because of the sour taste that's in my mouth from the remake of Friday the 13th, and like not Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake. The Friday the 13th remake is also bad, but it's not like as bad compared to the rest of the movies. The Nightmare remake is abysmal. It's absolutely terrible. I hate that movie.
That was actually my introduction to the series.
Yeah, which is so sad. I can't believe that like.
Because my parents were like, "Oh, it's the same thing, and it's basically the same thing. It'll be fine. Same story."
Your parents have issues, man, when it comes to like introducing you to movies.
A little bit. Hopefully, they don't watch this.
Oh man.
But yeah, this back to Scream. This looks good. I'm glad it's like not like a reboot, even though like it's called Scream, but like it's following Scream 4. It's like at least with these other ones like Candyman and Halloween and stuff, it's like it's because they're like wiping away everything except the original. But this one's like literally a direct follow up from the last 4, so it's like it's kind of weird that it's just called Scream again, unless there's like actually like any plot reason or like some meta reason that would like make it interesting. But I don't know. So far, it's just kind of like weird.
They're better because the title is honestly terrible. There better be a reason in the film because like, if not, that's just aggravating. Because like, come on, like what?
Yeah. Because then you have to be like, oh, I like Scream. Oh, which Scream? Oh, the original Scream. Oh, you don't like the 5th Scream? That's also called Scream.
Yeah.
Like, I get that they didn't want to call it Scream 5, because then, like, they would have put the number in the title, and it would just be 5 Cream, and, like, it would have been weird, but, like...
I mean, 5 Cream is better than Scream again, so, I mean, I'm fine with that.
Oh, what about Scriform? That was terrible.
Dance 4 Stick.
That movie's awesome. What are you talking about?
I'm just excited for Halloween 3-2, Season of the Witches. That'll be exciting.
And it's, like, the 14th installment in the Halloween franchise.
Halloween 3-2.
Yeah, I don't even know what they would call that. I'm assuming Season of the Witches continuation. I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't think it'll ever happen, but we'll see. Things have surprised me.
But I guess either way, that's probably our thoughts on the Halloween franchise as of now. Pre-release of Halloween Kills. So.
Yeah. Also, back really quick to the Scream trailer. There was like one line, like I get like it's really good because like everybody's been hyping it up, but like when like Dewey was like, "Do you have a gun?" Like who? Why would that matter? You're a cop. Just give her a gun if she doesn't have one. Why does she specifically need her own gun?
Yeah, that's true. I guess people have been talking. I saw some people talking about that. It's like
Because like it's a good line because she's like, I'm the main character in the last 4 movies. Of course, I own a gun, and it's like, yeah, that's kind of badass, I guess. And then like the last line was really good because it was like, "Hello, Sydney, it's an honor," and it's like it was like a really cool like end of the trailer, like stinger.
Yeah, it definitely built up some of the hype for that. So,
But yeah,
honestly, I'm excited for Scream, but luckily I don't have to wait 2 days for Halloween Kills. I just have to get through tomorrow and then the next day, and I am so excited.
same. I'll be mostly traveling tomorrow, so I guess I'll have that to focus my mind on. But
Yeah, that'll be fun for you. I have to work, so.
I still have to like. Hopefully the planes aren't just like, "Hey, fuck you," but probably not.
Yeah, that would be really bad.
I would just drive.
You would have to start driving like pretty early.
Well, if they did it like, because I take 2 planes, so if they did it like halfway, I would just have to drive from Chicago to Des Moines.
wouldn't be as bad.
But I would also have to get a car.
Yeah, he'll figure it out.
Yeah, but like the thing is, you're not allowed to get like airport rentals until you're like 25 for some reason.
Yeah, it's true.
I would just Uber for them to pay like $200.
Probably more than that. Uber from Chicago to Des Moines.
They probably wouldn't. I'd probably like they would stop me at a certain point. I'd call another Uber, get on that Uber until they stopped, and then like get another Uber.
And you would be charged quite a bit from each one.
Yeah, but yeah, we're gonna be seeing Kills Friday. That's my mindset. It's gonna be fun, even though like probably if we end up doing our plan Friday, hopefully like 4 out of the 6 people there will at least have seen the movies that are important. But if not, over half the people there will not, and I'll be upset. But because then we'll get a lot of questions, and I'm gonna kill myself. But yeah, Halloween kills myself. But
Alright.
yeah, so definitely go out and support this movie. I think it's gonna be really good, and I think a lot of people enjoy it. But
and I also highly recommend the original Halloween. I'll also recommend Halloween 2, Halloween 3, the original Halloween 2 and Halloween 3, and Halloween 2018. And Halloween Kills looks very promising if you're a slasher, horror, or Halloween fan. So I would definitely check them out. And then
I would agree.
Does it for Amity.
I would agree with you. I would maybe recommend H2O, maybe, but not really.
Yeah, maybe if you can bear through issues, if you're just into more casual film, then like it's probably worth a watch.
At least for the ending.
That's true.
But yeah, that's probably about it. We'll be back next Wednesday, probably a similar length because this is an hour and a half. We'll probably talk for another hour and a half about just one movie. But
yeah, we'll definitely be very passionate for discussion on that next week. But either way, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. If you liked it, maybe consider subscribing and hitting the bell. Be sure to leave a like and comment your thoughts down below. And as always, you can recommend anything that you want us to talk about in the future.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's probably about it. Have a good day or night wherever you guys are at, folks. And we'll talk to you later.
Yep. Have a good week.
No.